The city. It's this sprawling, massive place, miles and miles across. Been here as long as anyone can remember. Nobles play their power games. Guilds maneuver for money and influence. Dark things emerge from the shadows to hunt. And the lamplighters take everything in while keeping the darkness at bay. The thing I always wonder is why? Why do those lamplighters keep the darkness back? What investment do they have in Avalon? Why do they keep involving common folks in the games of the houses and guilds? I think they're the true power in Avalon, but I'm only one person. Then again, I've spoken with a blasted lamplighter. Have you? The streets of Avalon. This Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser-inspired urban swords and sorcery city of epic proportions holds adventure, intrigue, and a darkness that comes from its denizens both above and below. It's written for the world's most popular role-playing game by Brett Blazinski. Head over to gamingnbs.com/streets to grab a copy.
Hi, this is Mirko, also known as Digital Hobbit, longtime listener of the show, and I'm excited to introduce Gaming and BS episode 360, being recorded on Monday, September 20th, 2021.
Welcome to the Tabletop RPG podcast, affectionately known as Gaming and BS. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome back. Glad everybody's on board and with us here. Sean, how the hell are you, man?
Doing fine. I would like to thank Mirko Froelich for kicking off the year of the BSer introduction to the episode.
That was awfully good, Mirko.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, I don't know how many takes that took you, but that was good. That was
consummate professional.
Concise, good diction, the whole bit. Yeah, it was good.
That's fantastic.
That's better than what Sean and I have done for 7 years. So,
and I'm like kind of tired of doing it, so I'm outsourcing it. Outsourcing it. So if you didn't get the memo, we got a sign-up sheet. If you want to introduce an episode of the show on behalf of the year of the BSer, that's all you got to do. Like, I think less than 20 seconds, maybe 30. But if you go to gamingnbs.com/intro sign up, there's a spreadsheet there. You can pick the episode and then record it, put a link in there, or email it to us.
We've got 14 spoken for so far, 38 left. So if you want to grab one, get in there and do it. Because the last thing you want to hear is Sean do this for another year. So let's see if we can mix it up a bit.
They're filling up fast.
That's awesome.
So people are probably like, cool. Well, you know, what's the guidelines? I'm like, well, it would be nice if you mention the episode number. The date is optional. You know, if you want to get creative, that's fine. Not, you know who we are. We know how we roll. We know our sense of humor.
Leave the custom to Brett in the show, not at the start of the show.
Don't make us have to nix your intro. Like, chuckles. Yes. We like chuckles. We like to laugh a little bit. Good. Yeah, chuckles are good.
Yes, they do.
So, anyways,
did you game at all since we last talked?
Thursday night, Forbidden Lands. They shot a poor innocent younger person. They don't think he was innocent, but I don't know. I guess it's all left up to interpretation. You have to be there, right? You have, as a player character, you have to be there. You don't know what they're going under, what they're going through, right?
Yeah, the stress and everything else. Heck, it could have been anything. Be legit.
There might be some demon blood involved, but Yep. And then they entered a tomb. They got some guardians like blocking their way from exiting. So we'll see. I mean, they're still in the same day. Like, they just moved maybe a quarter of the day. So, like, we could go 2, 3, 4 sessions and they could still end up being in the same day.
Same day. That's awesome.
So yeah, that was good. And things continue yourself.
The only thing I had was the thing you and I did together, and that was the Streets of Avalon game with the Third Floor Wars crew last Tuesday.
Yeah, that was good.
My normal gaming group Normally meets on Tuesday, but Alpha couldn't run. So, and I wanted to get this game in. I wanted to wrap that up. So we weren't sure if I was going to go 2 or 3 sessions, but it just was a really nice wrap up at the tail end of the street. So I had a lot of fun with that game, Sean. I thought the Third Floor Wars crew was great. We had a really good group of people. A lot of fun. Everybody got into character, as I said last time, and y'all made my job easy. It was nice. And something horrible happens to Sean's character.
Son of a bitch killed my character.
I did kill him. I think VC Young had texted me on the side. He said, "You know what, Brett? That's like the consummate." He laid it out for me as like the consummate power move. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And I didn't even do it on purpose. Like, hey, this is to prove you can kill characters in 5e. Sean just got waxed.
Mass damage rules.
Mass damage rules, most definitely. It was funny. We did have one listener and watcher who was saying, "Are you sure you're dead?" Like, and John's like, "Look, I had 7 hit points to start with. I was down to 6. He did this much plus, therefore,
14.
Yeah, therefore done and gone." Yeah, it was. So it was a legit by the book murdering of Sean's PC. You know what? My heart felt lighter the rest of the week after that. So it was a good time.
It stung a little bit, but I got over it. Shook it off. I had to go for a walk.
That's because you're a pro. You know how to get into character, and then when you have to get out, clear your head a little bit like that. That's good. It's good stuff.
I'm just glad it wasn't, session 25, 5th level, 1st edition AD&D.
I just ground my
3 years
character.
into building that character.
Yeah. I'm playing Greyhawk tomorrow, and depending what they run into, they're going to run into the Rot Grub Assassins, so it's going to be interesting. See what happens to them.
Yeah, can't wait to hear about
That'll be fun. Oh, yeah, it'll be fun, hopefully. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, congrats to our friend Jen Brinkman. She joined Goodman Games as the Customer Service and Convention Manager. And we're assuming that means she's Brendan LaSalle's boss. And if someone needs to be ordered around, it's Brendan.
She said she's not. She replied she's not.
I know.
Until the booth is set up, I think so. But I did ask if we had a complaint about Brendan, she would be the one to field that since she is customer service, right?
And how do you can't complain about Brendan? I mean, that guy he's an amazing game master. So
yeah, that's true.
But anyway,
I might complain because I don't know, maybe he's too sexy.
He's just what?
I don't know.
There you go.
Maybe
I couldn't
his
handle
raspy voice.
I was distracted. I couldn't game. Too damn sexy.
Yeah.
But Jen, thank you for doing all the stuff that you do for Goodman Games. Your fingerprints have been on a number of different products, some top-notch stuff, editing and so on. So this is just awesome. Thank you for that. And it's awesome to see you land this type of thing. And cool. Hope they don't work you too hard. And then it doesn't destroy your love of the hobby. No, jokes aside, though, I'm positive Jen's going to be good. She knows what she's doing.
She was already trying to help out Lou, Colonel Lou Zochi, because Lou had an emergency at Gen Con and had to go to the hospital, and his daughter was the only one at the booth, and she was going to have to tear it down, and the only one there.
Oh, my gosh.
So Jen was trying to rally people to help. I guess they might have been next to the Beetle and Grimm booth. I don't know, but I'm sure everything worked out. Hoping Lou has a good recovery.
Agreed.
We don't know. We don't have an update yet, but hopefully that's the case. So, yeah.
Yeesh. Let's see here. Soulster, we got a good review, Sean, you say?
Soulster, yeah. Thanks for the review. I didn't put down the review necessarily. It was glowing. It wasn't any mud skipper ridiculousness or anything. So thanks, Soulster. Appreciate that.
The Project BS, the Delta Green experiment, is underway. Sean, are you full up? You got all your players?
I have all my players and then some, Brett.
Oh, my gosh.
I had a late submission.
I just got through my calendar stuff this last weekend. Check the work schedule. When am I on call? Just kind of ground through a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's going to be these days, so I'm going to throw it out there. I'm trying to decide if I want to go as formal as you did with your pitch, man. I mean, good God, I may just have to scab what that is and say, see that stuff? I'll do that, but better. I don't know. So that you have some really good info in there, but I think it's going to be much the same. I'm thinking I should be able to get. I want to get it rolling in October. Is what I want to do and get well into it. And I've got enough time around hunting trips and stuff that it won't be bad. So we'll make it happen. I've got that going this week. BSers, be prepared in the forums and whatnot. I'll get the announcements out.
If you need help
dates and all that good stuff,
spreading that, Brett, just let me know. Like whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I have I've gone from 4 players to 5 players. I have a Discord group with them in there, and they've all introduced each other to each other. And I've got session 0 queued up for Sunday 9 a.m. Central Time. And I will record session 0. So session 0 will be the first audio episode that I will release. So I'll get.
I gotta get some. I get the software, man.
Yeah.
It's all loaded up and all that good stuff. So
there's another way.
I got some work to do.
There's another way to do it, which would make maybe better audio, which I'm going to try to do. But I wouldn't put that onus on you. It could be a little finicky. So that.
All right.
Yep. So yeah, it'll be. Grab the coffees at 9 in the morning. I don't know if we're going to have a full 3 hours necessarily, but I have an itinerary ready.
You going for a bright and early AM start to your games?
Sundays,
you're crazy man.
Saturdays and Sundays, I'm up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning our time.
Wow, you're nuts.
And then I start streaming Saturdays at no later than 8. I try to hit, but yeah, I get it out of the way. Like the day's done. I've got the rest of the day.
I hear you.
Yeah. So.
Cool. All right. So my stuff's coming. I'm going to get it up there this week. So.
All right. There you go.
Will
You guys heard Brett. So that's.
It will land.
So by the time you get this, not long after that, I will have session 0 probably up in the feed. And I believe my plan is to put it in the regular Gaming NBS feed. We'll have album art and a moniker that is very self-identifiable. The reason I'm a little cringy is because there's like some podcasts that I look at that are actual play, and they run a game or 2 games, and they run them simultaneous, or maybe they won't, and going through their feed to get the game that I want to listen to is a little tricky, right? So with us, it's a little unique. It's a little different because Brett and I are going to be running the same game, and we all kind of understand what the premise is, and I'll set up the intro for Brett's and mine.
Well, it's also the first time we're doing it, so we're trying. I think, Sean, whatever it is you do, we all know and believe that you're trying with the best intent to make it so that if you do not give a shit about this experiment at all, you can ignore it. That's the idea, right? So that you can look at the album art, whatever it is, go, oh, that's the thing I don't care about, moving on.
Yeah.
If it is something you care about, it should be eye-catching enough so when you see it, you go, aha, that's the thingy. I want that, right? Yeah. As opposed to fumbling through. Because I've had that too with a couple of podcasts over the years where I'm like, oh, this is cool. Ah, shit. I thought this was part of no, it's not. I don't care about this. So, cool, man. Anything else announcements-wise? We good?
I think we're good.
How we doing random encounter? We got
one random encounter.
We got one. Okay. Well, let's lay it out there.
So we didn't have a ton because I don't think especially the last episode, I don't know if that warrants hey, I got they'll feed. Plus, some of our listeners are like, majority of our listeners aren't always caught up. Episode drops, they listen.
Oh, totally, yeah. No. Yep. And quite frankly, some of the topics we've had a couple over the years where if they don't require discussion, they don't require discussion. I.e., y'all bored with it. You went, wow, that was a waste of an hour. Which sorry about that. Or you're like, cool. I don't really have anything to talk about or to add. That's totally fine. We don't take offense at that at all.
The only two that had anything to say was Harrigan and Old School DM, and they had previously posted on that a while ago in like a forum post, so I don't want to regurgitate that stuff. But Gregor from Discord mentioned this in the Discord, very brief. It's not too long, but simply says the main topic of the episode feels a bit like a sibling of the phenomenon where a lot of people often are so eager to help
that they will answer any question, no matter if they have an answer or not. Like if I post something on Facebook or Twitter or whatever and ask, does anyone know, or does anyone have any experience with, and I get responses like, have you tried Googling for, etc.
Yeah, it is. I think it is definitely a sibling to that phenomenon where we talked about that, right? The whole concept was being reasonable, right? When someone's asking for something or they're looking for help, whatever, it's honestly one of the things that frustrates me when somebody says, have you tried Googling it as an answer? My first thought is, you're a fucking douche, right? Thank you for that. That was a complete waste of time. Delete, block. I mean, you're just being.
I used to tell Brett that all the time.
You did, which is lucky we lasted 7 years. But especially the gaming community, to Sean's saying, being positive, influence and person within the space is like, hey, when someone's asking something like, hey, how can I do blah? That was the whole driver behind it. And sometimes we all need a reminder, honestly, just we don't have to beat people over the head with you playing the wrong game.
If you want to do that, tell somebody to Google it or check Google. The best way to do it is to go to the website. Let me Google that for you.
Yes.
Type in the search, save the link, and then send them that link.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I've done that at work.
I know.
I was talked to about that at work once.
As long as it took me to put in a search query, it went to an internet site just to rub it in somebody's face. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the topic then, man.
Let's get to the main topic.
Let's just jump over. Let's go.
This isn't a 50-minute random encounter episode. We're going to get right to the main topic.
Yeah,
Uh-oh. What are we going to talk about this week, Brett?
So one of the things I think is important, and Iris Lemke and I talked about this, and Kevin, Kev Thulu's daughter. And one of the things we've talked about is, ages back, was the concept of RPGs, what makes them different, tabletop RPGs, from lots of other things. I've had this conversation with my kids and other folks. And one of the things that hit me a while back was that there's really no right answer for something. Because I was helping AJ and Alana. I've talked to other folks who've asked us questions and stuff like, hey, I was thinking about all the different things we've coached, Sean, or tried to help people. Hey, here's an idea. I think a lot of it comes down to whenever you have an encounter, whatever it is, there's quite nearly an unlimited number of options for how it could be solved. No two groups play through the same adventure. And one of the things that got me going about this was when I was running the Streets of Avalon game for you in the Third Floor Wars crew, Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker. I've run it before. I changed some of the conditions of the test, but y'all went after it totally different. And I can't remember who mentioned it, if it was Nick or one of the other two had mentioned, hey, are we doing it similar to what other people had done? Or components and pieces that were similar, but enough of it was so drastically different that I'm like, yeah, wow, I don't think the other group would have at all approached it like this, even given some of the dynamics I changed. And I thought about it and reminded me, I went out and I found the Matt Colville quote and I threw it up here. And he said, this was in reference to he and Matt Mercer one time we're talking about, what's the GM's job? And Colville said, it's not my job to solve your problems. It's my job to solve your solutions. And I'm like, ooh, that's punchy. I normally, as soon as I hear something, when I hear something kind of punchy and kitschy, profoundy like that, I'm like, I kind of shy away from it. But that one hit me. I was thinking about it, and it hit me enough that I came back when I was thinking about this topic. And so let me take an example here. So I start my Streets of Avalon game with you in the Third Floor Wars guys, and there's an encounter, right? So there's most of you are in the bar. One of you is up on the roof, and a thing occurs. There was no right way, per Brett's plot concept, for that to go down. right? I threw enough clues and ideas and sounds and stuff that those of you in the bar could have gone out to become part of the fracas on the rooftop, or you could have ignored everything and stayed inside. I was prepared to do that, either of those two and any variation there of it, because there was no right answer for that particular encounter. I didn't know what would happen. Quite frankly, I wasn't sure if the rogue up on the rooftop was going to run away or talk, fight. I don't know. Turns out the entire first session, nobody drew a sword, right? There was no combat encounter. Although any one of those encounters could have turned into a combat piece. When the kids came up and talked to your character, Sean, and they talked to the other PCs, they'd ask questions, and the players would say whatever it was you said. I was not looking for a particular phrase. I don't have a list of things written down. And I was thinking about this in the concept of railroading versus sandboxing. You all right, Sean? You with me? You okay there?
Yeah, my phone's ringing for some reason. Go ahead.
It's not me calling you. I swear.
Sitting
it's
in
not
front
me.
of me, so I gotta.
That's all right. So I think one of the pieces that sometimes we get into as game masters, even as players, is we'll try something and we don't get a solution. We don't get an answer we like, right? Or we feel roadblocked or stymied in some way. And there's a tendency, and I see this a lot in people who play or came up through video games. It's not that video games are bad or evil or anything. It's just a different mode of play. But they're looking for the right dialogue tree or the right question, the right thing to click on to unlock the key that lets me do the thing. And yes, there are games with plot coupons and so forth. But quite frankly, in a tabletop game, there's no real right answer for many of the different problems that we get thrown at us. And I think, Sean, when I read an adventure, or if I ever feel myself thinking about an encounter or designing an encounter in any way, if I go, if they say this, if they do this thing, that unlocks the clue, or that does a piece, or whatever the case is. Anytime I do that or read something that seems to say that to me, I start to register in my head is like, that is bad design. For me, my play style is because whoever wrote this, myself included, I have no idea how Craig, Eileen, Sean, Ange, Nick, how anybody is going to approach the particular question, issue, encounter at hand. I have concepts of what I think will cause that encounter to propel down a certain path, right? Or maybe another path. I may choose a few different things, but I don't have anyone keyed as the right way to go. All options, how is this going to happen? We'll see what goes down. And I think the reason that I don't mind that piece, it helps me with my improv stuff, is because I don't wait for the one person to say the one right thing or take the one specific action. So what is that? I think it's very important, that concept of I solve your solutions and I don't worry about solving your problems, right? The players get in a bind. They're in over their heads. They're maybe in under their heads, whether they got plenty of space, but they're just spinning for some reason. Trying to answer a riddle, for example, is a classic. When the answer could be a mirror, it could be love, it could be my twin brother. If any of those would reasonably solve the problem, I, as game master, should say, yeah, that works. It's well thought out. It's interesting. Let's go with it. There's no point to sit here and make them grope around in the dark trying to find a thing when the answer they gave me fits well enough. So that's the kind of premise I wanted to bang around here, Sean. So what does that make you think about when I say all that babbling crap to you?
It makes me think that you're not planning what's gonna what it could happen next.
Why would I?
Because you have to be ready, Brett. You have to be ready for when I go in that particular direction that you don't know it's going to be, because you automatically set up the premise of solving the solution. Like,
so I can't tell me. I can't tell if you're being serious. I can't tell me if you're being serious. I can't tell if you're being serious here if you're fucking with me.
If you don't give me enough direction to say, okay, if they're going to meet this person, that person's going to initiate a combat. Then once they kill the person, they're going to search the body. Then they're going to come across that one piece of paper that I need them to find and read. And then they'll go, the piece of paper will say, go here. And then they will go there. And then I will be able to pick that up from there.
How do they move from one train car to the other train car?
It's not a train, Brett. They've got the ability to not kill the bad guy.
Well, then
they may not even kill him. And
how do they get the piece of paper if they don't kill him?
They'll search.
In your example,
players always search. They're always searching. Everything is a pat
What if they
down.
don't kill him? What if he kills What if he kills two of the players and the rest of them have to run away?
He drops the piece of paper.
So you're solving their solutions.
But I'm saying that the argument would be, how do I plan out an adventure if I don't know what the hell the player character is going to do? They could do this goes back to weird. I'm being devil's advocate, obviously.
No, go for it, man. Go
if
ahead.
You guys haven't figured it out. But if you get to the point where they could do anything, even though you're putting stuff in front of them and they problems for them to solve, if you don't have some weird kind of plan of how to seed certain things, they could go in a direction where you don't have anything planned. And I think that's the problem with game masters. They're freaking deathly afraid of oh shit.
So
they're going in a place I have no idea what to do.
So one of the things to do in this space is that the number of choices narrows. The number of choices that are obvious start to narrow.
Yes.
So in the Streets of Avalon game I just ran with you guys, at a certain point, Craig Shipman's running around trying to figure out what's going on.
That guy's
you
off
guys
the
get
hook.
down.
He's just always he GM'd so much he just probably wanted to go crazy. I don't know.
You guys got down to Ronaldo, the street alchemist place, and in the process, Shipman figures out, oh shit, says Craig, I gotta go figure out what's going on with the kid. There's something with the candlestick maker's kids. I gotta go figure out what's going on with Lucian's kids. Shit. I owe it to them. I gotta figure something out. He was in a position where he either could go deal with a kid problem or stay here. Now, as a game master, for me, a tool is okay, man, so as I see it, Craig, there's two options. I'm paraphrasing how I tried to present it to him. I see two options, man. You go deal with the kids, you stay in here with the crew. Which are you doing? There's always another option. I just don't say it. Yes. If they don't know what to do, if they vacillate between the two ideas, say, look, what would look at your character's bonds, look at what do you think is the most likely thing your character would do? Or I have the NPC kid start tugging on his shoulder and start crying, like I miss my mommy. Where's my sister? I don't understand what's going on. So I drag him in one direction or another. Now he could have said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to take this on. I'm going to use another NPC. They're going to take care of the kid problem so I can stay here. Huh. That's a creative solution to the which direction do I go problem I just faced you with, Craig. Cool. Somebody else is taking care of that. Now, for me, I knew that if Craig went back to where I was trying to send him, potentially, there's clues and data and things to be found that would help the investigation, right? If he stayed, he could get involved in some other shenanigans and figure out some stuff, but there's not as much there. His character was the one that had the best chance of me dragging him off to go look in at the house, right? Where the kids were supposed to be at. I was able to convince him to do that because, hey man, here's your two options. Which do you want? Right? Plain white or vanilla. Chocolate or vanilla, whichever you want. There was no right answer for him there, insofar as he could have said, you know what I'm going to do? All of us are going there. We're going to leave this guy here. Or you know what we're going to do? We're going to take Ronaldo, truss him up. And Nick's character is just going to carry his ass down the street with us because we can't trust that motherfucker. So we're just going to drag him over here. You know, any permutation, whatever happens, right? But presenting and narrowing the choice down makes that the options become an encounter, perhaps is a way to say it, right? You show up here, Do you attack the boss? Do you attack this person? Do you run away? It's an encounter. Which decision do you make? Do I deal with the NPC kids, or do I stay here and talk to the street alchemist type of person? So if you choose to do something off the wall, you know what? I don't do anything. I light a building on fire. Really? You light a building on fire? Yep, that's what I feel like doing.
That occurred to me once, Brett.
So like, yeah, it did actually. I think you're probably trying to burn something. It's okay, fine. So you light a building on fire. All right, well, all right. So you go off to light a building on fire. I table that. And I'll come back to them later. But I think part of it for me is when people are trying to plan, they're trying to set up a certain number of right answers, proper solutions, and the sequence of correct events that when done will get everybody from point A to the climax of the adventure, which is great, right? We need to have some kind of a concept. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, what is the flat field, sunny day, no cross breeze shot to get from here to the end? But I think what we have to be aware of is that every encounter can be solved damn near any way possible, given what's occurred up until then. If at the very beginning, you guys had gotten in a brawl in the 2 or 3 different encounters you had, it could have gone to, we need to rest. We need a long rest. We are all 75 to 80% down at hit points. We're not going fucking anywhere. We go back to the Witch's Luck, the tavern, and we just crash here because that's what we need to do, right? They choose not to go anywhere. That's not a right answer insofar as something that I had plotted or planned out. And however you want to solve the predicament you're in is probably okay. It doesn't mean that the action grinds to a halt. It just means I have to shift a little bit. So did that answer your question, or am I way off base there? You pushy little jerk.
I get it.
Because there's literally, I mean, when I say nearly unlimited, there's nearly unlimited options for how you want to solve that, man.
Yeah, there is. Maybe, kind of. There is, yes, in the literal sense. But there may be...
You ever play in high school where someone goes, yeah, I picked their pocket. You do what? No? I punch him. Why? Because I'm a 13-year-old dunderhead and I just want to punch him in the face.
But sometimes I think that kind of play there is no problem to solve. They're just going off and doing their thing. Like there isn't a...
It's usually a sign of boredom.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Yes. Boredom, probably borderline immaturity.
So I think to cut the boredom is you keep the decisions flowing, right? The encounters keep happening.
Well, you give them more to
decide.
To figure out, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Which is something I've been trying to work on a little bit is, okay, if there's a lull, how do I get them to do something other than what's being done in the moment?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in Forbidden Lands, it's kind of unique because they could potentially have more downtime. Maybe. Right. But if I want to kick that up, then it's what goes into their camp, or who do they hear not far away, or something along those lines. Like John Wick's book, Play Dirty, is an interesting one. I have not read the revised version where he's probably reeled back some of his firmer than firm convictions.
Well, those weren't even necessarily convictions. He'll admit that up front.
Okay.
They weren't necessarily convictions per se. They're like, look, part of this is just catharsis. It's like, look, this is like some crazy over the top stuff, but
Yes.
The idea is thinking beyond the normal. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get to here, and perhaps I'm doing a shit job of it, is that when we're planning this stuff out, if we box ourselves in thinking there is a path, right? And we think, well, yeah, but they could do 5 different things. And we often get caught thinking, oh, those crazy players, they could go anywhere. They could do anything.
Right.
One of the ways to control that, as I said, is limiting the obvious number of options and being very black and white with the players. Like, look, I see 3 things for you to do. So, Sean, are you doing 1, 2, or 3? Now, Sean could easily say, I mean, that's just pop psychology, Pop-Tart psychology approach, right? It's like, ha ha ha, I tricked him. So he's going to do this thing. But it's just laying it out. Like, these are the obvious things that I think your character would do. Do you agree with me? And then you get to say, you know what? The way I phrase the question to you makes you think, what would my character do? So in my example with Craig, Craig was being great. He was thinking in character. So I gave him options. Stay here or help the children. He has to help the kids, man.
You have to.
That's
the future.
Well, yes, and I know his character because I built it. So it's in the character, right? Like, he has to do this. So he's got things to deal with here. Is he going to let down the children? Or is he going to help them?
God, he would be playing against type if he was Craig Shipman and not helping children.
Exactly. Yes. I played against type and there were no dead babies, so I felt good about that.
But there is something to be said about the 3 option thing, the 3 choice piece. 2 choice, maybe, whatever. But because there's always, I think there's many times 2 choices.
Mm-hmm.
There's always the 2 choices. There's the engage or do not engage.
Yes.
Fair, right? I think that's kind of a given. You put them in front of something, they're either going to touch it or they're not. They're going to go around it or they're not. It's always they're going to do this or they're not. The 3rd choice, I think, makes it a little bit more dynamic, and a 4th. But if you get to too many, then you're going to start like.
Then it's analysis paralysis. It's no better than saying, "What do you do right now?" I just encouraged it. I built analysis paralysis in.
It is totally analysis paralysis, right? You give too many choices, and it's like, bah, right.
I have to get so speaking of this week, I have to get an executive to make a decision at work.
Uh-oh.
That executive will get 3 options, no more than 3, because anything more than 3, it won't work.
Don't do it. Do it 100% or do it half-ass.
Exactly. Well, clearly we'll do it 100%. There you go. Bingo.
All right, sounds good.
Smart am I?
Yeah,
there you go. Of course you will.
Yeah.
The shit I want to do, the stuff I'm okay doing, and the crap I never want to do.
That's right.
In that order. So the other piece here of the no right answers is that from a player's perspective and as a challenge perspective here, there is, when I gave that option to Craig, what do you do? There was no right answer for Craig. Going to help the kids or staying here with you guys dealing with the street alchemist, either one was acceptable. At the very beginning, the rogue on the rooftop, I'm trying to remember the name of the rogue. Good Lord, I'm losing my mind. Where are my notes? I'm going to find
this. Is that Roman's character?
That was Roman's character. Thank you. Good. I was trying to
I don't know who the character's name was.
It was Scout.
Scout.
So Roman's up on the roof. I'm just going to go name by that way.
A rogue named Scout on the roof.
Yes. So Roman's up there playing Scout. And creature, thing. Oh my God. What do you do? The implied is it's lurching, galumphing, making crazy ass noises. What do you do? The obvious is I can fight, I can run. What did Roman do? Roman said, I talk to it.
Yeah.
Right? He started a conversation and Brett went, what the fuck? You know what? Smash cut. Boom. Back over here. Because I'm like, who the hell talks to a walking gelatinous worm garbled monster? That's fucking weird. All right, Roman, you got me there. Park that sucker. Let's go back to the inn and see what everybody else is doing because my brain's got to spin. What the fuck am I going to do up there? The rest of you encounter the butcher and the baker in different phases, kids, stuff happening, so on. There was no right answer for you to engage. You talk to the children. You say, fuck off, little kid. I don't want to talk to you. When you see the butcher walk in and walk out immediately, what do? Do you follow him as the obvious clue by 4? Or do you say, you know what? I'm going to sit on the ship with the lasers and see what happens. You could have. Either answer was fine. Sometimes as well, the other thing is done as game masters in general, we will feel that the right answer is the one that keeps the characters in the action or keeps them up with everybody else. And the way I run a game, it's very possible to have people doing different things in different locations and not everybody's in a dungeon moving along and not everybody's always together. And sometimes somebody's like, look, I want to stay here. if their character says, I want to stay in the ship with the guns, because this is what I think is the safest thing to do. My question to the person is, okay, so you're saying your character would rather stay here. I'm careful. I'm choosing my words, not you. I'm trying to say, very obviously, your character's making, you believe this is the thing your character wants to do. Your character's making this decision. So I would say, like, instead of to Nick, I wouldn't say, hey, I guess, Nick, what are you doing? Per se, I'd say LT. Another thing I try to do that was a character's name. LT, so you're staying here, or you leaving LT. By addressing the player as the character, it helps to get them in the character mindset. There is no right answer. If you, right, would have chosen to stay in the tavern when the action was going outside, you could have said as Max, like, look, I'm not getting involved in that shit. That sounds like hard work. Sit back, sip my wine, wait for him to come back and ask my advice. That's fine. At a certain point, that means you, Sean, playing Max, don't get in on the action. As long as as long as you are cool playing your character that way, that's fine. I don't have to drag you into the action. A choice people can make is to avoid the action. I don't want to get hurt. I don't get bothered with it. Lenny's running a Call of Cthulhu game, Horror on the Orient Express. My guy is specifically armchair quarterbacking the entire adventure. I built him that way because I don't want to take over. I order the other players around. You go look at that. You check a look at that. Oh, yeah, so head over there. Oh, yes, I think you should do that. I order that, and they just listen to me.
But you can't play yourself in a role-playing game. That's no fun.
It's kind of fun right now.
I suppose.
But anyway.
You get everybody, in the role-playing game, you get everybody to do actually what you tell them to do.
So yeah, exactly. Because they want to, because it's fun that way. So they run out, bring back shit. I look, I go, I go slightly insane after they went greatly insane. But anyway, the point is, and Lenny asked me at one point, are you cool with this? I said, dude, I am purposely sitting back. My character is a sit back. I built him to be a laid back kind of, I don't get engaged in the investigations. I write them up. This is what I do. I'm a documenter or a librarian more. Not that librarians aren't action oriented sometimes, but point is he's not going to jump in the action. And that's by the adventure's sake and so forth. It doesn't mean it's the wrong choice for me not to engage in the action, but it's fine for me to sit out of the action for a little bit. And I think that sometimes as game masters and even as players, when there's action happening and we're not in it, we feel like, ooh, as players, I made the wrong choice. I should be there. Oh, fuck, I should have been. Sometimes the other players look at you and go, dude, where's the fucking healer? You're the guy with the stim packs. Why are you not here? Oh, I wanted to stay at the tavern and I thought I was going to meet a contact here. You idiot. That conversation happens and the player can feel bad. When in fact, what I think is happening, as long as the player is making, they've made a decision. It's not right or wrong. It's just a choice, right? And then perhaps next time when the opportunity produces itself, the person goes, you're coming, right, medic? Yep, I'm coming. I can't let you guys come crawling back with broken bones again. Healer's coming along. Or Max, your character, the wizard, is like, I'm showing up. Had you chosen to stay back. Too much crazy occult, arcana shit. I'm coming. I've got to see it in person because these knuckleheads can't explain anything to me.
No, they're just,
No. All right, I'm babbling a lot here, man. But you're following with what I'm saying? I'm kind of, as is my wont, bouncing a bit here. But does it make sense to you at all, or am I way the hell off?
No, I don't think you're way off. I think it's, yeah. I'm interested to see how the Delta Green game pans out because I know we know kind of what's going on.
Yep.
And this one is, and it Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, insert police procedural type, investigation type game. And yes, I realize fantasy games can be investigative, Sean. They're going in the dungeon to check in on something or whatever, but it's not the same.
It is not. No, I think there's enough difference to it. Yes. Keep going.
Yeah, it's just not the same. Because the group, I'm interested to see what they tackle and how. And because they can they're either going to get overwhelmed or underwhelmed. Well, they could go with the flow too. Who knows? Right? There's the three choices. Hey.
Yeah.
But it is going to be interesting because I find that some people they'll hit a brick wall. They're like, shit, well, I don't know. We don't have any clues. Where do we go? All right. What do we do? If Delta Creed's got a luck roll, luck roll. Okay, great. I'll feed you some stuff. Or you remember this, or you forgot about that. So going back to this specifically, I keep thinking of things when you throw the problem at the characters.
Mm-hmm.
What do they plan on doing? I think there's a lot of game masters that. I've listened to game masters that have written books, and they say, "Okay, I got to come up with like a combat encounter." And I'm like, "Why? Why are you denoting it as a combat encounter? Like, why? That's not your choice as a game master, is it? Is it?
So as a designer, you could say this is a combat. You could be ham-fisted,
right? Sure.
And say this is a thing.
I know it's going to be a combat encounter because I'm going to have the NPC attack them.
Yes.
Right. That's right. Okay, got it.
Now, as soon as they walk in the door, the trolls attack.
Right.
It's combat encounter. It says attack right there.
Right.
Now, that said, though,
monster.
Depending on this,
the wolf isn't going to come and lick their face. I get it.
Yeah. Or however, though, depending.
Oh, they got a druid. Animal handling.
They got a fucking druid, and it's in animal handling. Yeah. Or it turns out that the person who walks in there splashes, a love potion before the troll attack. I don't know. So the concept of the problem, how do I do this? So at the end of the day,
we're putting the problems in buckets.
You put the problems in buckets. And the other thing here is that understanding holistically what it is you're trying to accomplish as a game master. And by that, I mean, in the Streets of Babylon game I ran for you guys in third floor, I'm like, okay, there are these creatures. There's this demonic-like thing. There's clues in various places that I know are important to me that we'll see what they come up with. At the end of the day, their main thing is they are going to want to, as guardians of this neighborhood, they're going to want to stop this fucking problem. Right?
Maybe.
Stop the problem. Yeah, exactly. Now, that's the driving force that most people would have. I'm like, okay, so normally an Avalon game is going to, of this nature, of this campaign, stop the problem to the neighborhood. It is too much to just let go. If this were a different Avalon campaign and it were a rival guild moving and shaking, I could be like, well, what could happen here? Let's see. Who do I have for players and characters? I got a rogue. I got a fighter type who wants to be a heavy. I got a wizard who loves getting into combat for whatever fucking reason. He just wants to be there. I got this. I got this. I got that. These are things that could happen. And I'm just keeping that in mind. Like, what does that do? So the main goal is my bad guys. We've talked about this before. Like, the clocks are ticking, stuff's happening, right? The bad guys are going to do whatever it is they're going to do. The plot is continuing. You may impact in one way, shape, or form based on the type of answer you provide to whatever the encounter is, whatever the challenge is in front of you. So when I was running for you in Third Floor Wars, again, to use that reference, you guys found the place in the basement. You could have said, you know what? We're not going in the sewers. We're not doing it. We're waiting until we need more data. One of you, LT, stay here. Watch that hole. We're going over here because we think there's more data. Got it, Chief. Everybody runs off. Follows Max. You guys go do a bunch of research. Then come back. Maybe LT sits there twiddling his thumbs for hours while you guys do this. Or maybe he's dead by the time you come back.
Maybe he's dead, yeah!
Instead of poor Max. But depending what, all answers and directions have consequences of some sort or another, right? As long as it is, in my opinion, thematically correct with what's supposed to be going on, the players are going to buy it. I, as a player, buy it when it makes sense in the overall themes of what's going on. If I'm in a Delta Green game and I'm playing or I'm running, and it's a Cthulhu mythos, you start to uncover a thing, and somewhere within that, is deep ones. You're like, oh my God. If all the answers, whatever occurs, the blowback, whatever solutions the players throw out there, quote unquote, right or wrong, whatever the repercussions, whatever happens after they give you the answer, as long as it's thematically correct, it's going to be okay. The players are going to say, yes, that makes some sort of sense. Had you guys opened the trap door in the Avalon game and not seen more horrible worms in the basement, you wouldn't have believed you're on the right track. That was an immediate flag that said, we are going in the right direction. There is a problem down here, because that was what you saw up top. Then down here, there's more of it. It was an immediate sign that there's stuff to happen, right? Had you guys not chased the masked figure down the passageway, right? That one that was outside, ran off a little bit. That was just a pure distraction, man.
Oh,
right. The whole concept is try to pull the characters away so I could go kill Ronaldo, which is exactly what I did. You could not get any more information out of him. There was no wrong answer there, no right answer either. Do you chase the masked figure, or do you hold your ground, or do you split up? Right. So there are three options. Back to your three, right, Sean? Everybody chose to go tie Ronaldo up and chase. Tie Ronaldo up and chase. Nothing really interesting happens. Kind of some spooky, weird grossness and some damage from worms. But then there's practically an explosion of violence behind, and then Ronaldo's crushed. Something bad happened while y'all weren't there minding the shop. Repercussions from the actions. Nothing bad about it, but what happened is then thematically, everyone went, fuck. That makes sense, because there's an evil in the sewers beneath this guy's place. Damn it. It came up here and killed him. We got to go down there and take care of this problem. Right. So it drives towards the theme of down here is where the problem is. You buying that? Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay. I do think you asked me this off the mics, kind of tongue in cheek. Is there a wrong answer? And I think the answers of I light it on fire, I punch the guard, I stab him. Can I seduce the king? Like this isn't what? Why are you doing this? That type of childish activity to me, I would borderline label wrong, or like, dude, I don't want that at my table type of stuff. I think the things that are wrong, if there's a wrong answer, is I'm using the phrase thematically here, thematically incorrect, right? I think that's where it goes bad. Your characters are doing great. You're investigating. You're doing this cool thing, and you shoot the librarian in Call of Cthulhu. Why did you do that? Well, I just took it away. You said he was being arrogant. It says you're my character sheet. I don't like arrogant people, so I shot him in the face. It says you don't like him, but it says you fucking murder them. What's wrong with you? Why would you do that? That type.
Put that in there so Seamus wouldn't eat it.
Out of character, out of theme, out of genre, out of the tone, right? Think shit that breaks the tone, I think is more important. Maybe tone is better than theme in this case, but I think that's the only time I can think of off the top of my head where I would say that's a wrong answer to whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
You all right? You with me?
Yeah.
All right.
I had to grab something.
I couldn't hear you. I can't hear you now.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh.
He mutes himself and then dresses me down probably.
I had muted myself because I had to move something.
All right. That's fine.
Anyways.
So I honestly think the other piece to this, Sean, is that do you do puzzles in games at all? Like riddles, anything like that? Or when you run your pre-gens or you're published or pre-published, depends how you like them. When you encounter a puzzle, do you think of, because usually the puzzle has an answer. Do you force the players to give you that specific answer, or do you give them some leeway?
Oh, I ran Tomb of Annihilation, which is full of puzzles.
Yes. Hence my question.
And I think I ran them as written. And I think because I think that they tried to do a decent job at not overcomplicating them. Like, I think it was, hey, you look through this mask and you see something and it's there. And it wasn't, some of those puzzles weren't, if you did it wrong, you were totally screwed.
It doesn't stop play. Like, well, I can't go any further through this dungeon because I got this wrong. I'm done.
They would eventually, I mean, I had a couple where they were stumped for a while and they eventually unlocked the secret.
Okay.
And they may have unlocked the secret, but there are repercussions on maybe how they did it.
Okay.
And based on that, some of the folks that have run Tomb of Annihilation know exactly what I'm talking about. And once that occurred, if it was like, say, for example, they were trying to do something and it triggered, they got what they needed and it triggered an event and animated something and they were like, okay, great. Yep. Stuff's rolling. We can get this cube. We can't get the cube. And then it was combat ensued because maybe something came alive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just complicated things. It didn't abruptly stop and cease the whole plot from moving forward.
See, that's good to me then. That means that from the right answer perspective, there is a better answer, not an absolutely right answer, because right indicates such a binary thing, right? It's either right or it's wrong. So in this case, you had a very specific answer may well be the best answer, i.e., shit doesn't animate. I don't lose more hit points and spells and other,
In these instances, it was kind of the sequence, right? If they did it, right, yeah. A and then B and then C, no problemo.
But if you don't, it's not like you can't get through it. It's just going to be harder.
Correct.
See, that to me, if I were to have read that and understand how that flows, I'd be like, that's cool to me.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of it, but that layout to Brett is good adventure design because it says, hey man, look, here's Flatfield Sunny into a cross breeze. See that? Bang! You hit bullseye. Good for you. You show up in a hurricane, it's harder to hit the bullseye right away, kids. You're gonna get blown off course. You're gonna come over here. You're gonna come over there, and
because that's how hardcore Brett is. He's gonna hunt, bow hunt in a hurricane.
Totally, yeah. But you know what I'm saying, though, Sean? I think that's good design because, and when we think about stuff like that, is instead of we're making our homebrews or reading published adventures, saying, okay, boy, this seems the adventure itself may not be a railroad, but there's a chunk in here. I'm picking this out just because I've seen this myself. There's a chunk in here. If I don't do X, there's no way to progress. Now, my buddy Lenny would say, it's called Cthulhu Adventure, Brett. Too fucking bad. You buggered it up. Everything goes pear-shaped. Really rises. Cthulhu eats the world. Y'all lose. Fuck. That's how he likes to run his Cthulhu games. He'll tell you that flat out. I don't do that. That's just his style. My preference is if you do it perfectly from start to finish. Wow. Good investigation. Great plot. You killed the dragon while it was sleeping. Well done. Didn't trip any traps. Blah, blah, blah. Name your straight line of choice. Whatever you do, though, the rest of it is like, shit, I'm dealing with the consequences of my suboptimal, if you will, or my not quite the best. It's still, I made good choices, and you can tell that because the plot, the adventure continues on, right? Sometimes it's harder because I get to the penultimate last fight, and fuck, it's very obvious. If I only had the crown from the first clue, this fight would be a lot easier. We lost that in the gelatinous cube when we lost the thief. God damn it. Well, roll them up, kids. Let's see what we can do. And then you beat the boss or you fight him or whatever, lose a couple more characters, whatever it takes. But I think that to me is more fun. And I think those are the pieces that when that happens, I, as a player, I know, look back, oh, I wish I would have remembered. Crap. Damn it. If only. Those things it's like a fun loss to me in a weird way. We're like, oh, but I'm still here. It's okay. It's okay. We can soldier on. We can still do this. We can still make it happen. Against the odds type of thing. Because had we had all that stuff, it'd be kind of a cakewalk, man. Type of thing.
Well, that's why in some of those puzzle situations, I didn't want to give them anything. Because I think if you do and they solve it or they, then it just takes away from them.
Now, did they come up with anything that was close? Like, would you do that's close enough or that's a good option?
It's close enough because then they trigger something and then they have to pay the consequences. So everything was close enough. I mean, none of them were a point where they were like.
It didn't stop the adventure.
No.
Right.
No.
So.
No.
I think that's key because I do remember as a kid coming up against a riddle, and I had a dungeon master in high school. We had a Sphinx asked us a riddle. We couldn't think of the answer, and he looked at us like it's the easiest riddle ever, and we're like, we've never heard it. Can we do an intelligence check? No, you have to guess. Okay, a cat, a dog. Can we just kill it? No, you can't. Okay. It was terrible. It was just this terrible, terrible thing. It was like there was only one way to get past this. We couldn't fight it. We were magically stopped. We had to do this, and we had to answer this fucking question. Right? It was abysmally bad. The DM never ever did that again. It was so bloody obvious. It was terrible. But I don't think people do it that bad. But there are times when you're running something. Ooh, here's a riddle. Here's a puzzle, whatever that is. And sometimes investigations are just complicated puzzles. That's basically what it is. You ask somebody who looks up forensics, like what happened here. I think it was this. I think it was a blunt instrument. I think it was this. I think it was that. You're trying to piece all this data together, and you're guessing. It's a good guess. It's an educated guess based on all this information you have. But sometimes you're going to pick something that's close. And if the players are like, well, look, according to what we've heard from all the NPCs, basically what Sean told us was the last people in the room were either Malcolm, Simone, or Dexter. Well, you go through and go, it's Simone. It's got to be. And you may say, yeah, no, it's not, because the adventure says it clearly this, but they missed something, whatever. Or you could rejigger things. You could change it around or whatever the case is. And but anyway, point is that the repercussions, I think, are the important piece. And I like the way that did that in Tomb of Annihilation. It didn't stop you cold. Because old school Tomb of Horrors, man, you figure this out? No, Juggernaut kills you. What happens? Juggernaut kills you. What happens over there? Fall in the hole and you die. Fuck. Rocks fall. Everyone dies.
I think I think Wizards, despite maybe some of their shortcomings and what people may or may not think about them, is I think they, specifically with that one, and being the trickster gods and that are involved in some of those things, I think they probably intentionally went out of their way where they wanted to put these puzzles into place for theme. Mm-hmm. But they also realized that they didn't want them to be, like Victor might have, refers to them as like gateway puzzles. Like if you don't solve them, you don't go forward.
Yeah, there was I was explaining this to my son, AJ, who had never experienced the hell of some of the earlier computer games. There's a Baldur's Gate, I believe it was. Bard's Tale, not Baldur's Gate, Bard's Tale. A lot totally confused it, but he was 1 or 3 or something, where the only way to get to a certain thing was to be randomly teleported to that room, like on 3 separate occasions. Some weird ass teleportation randomness, and it people would write these big I finally figured it out after 200 hours of gameplay. I'm like, holy, what crazy fool sat there that long and banged the head on that wall. Some of those earlier. Or actually, this is one of my problems with video games, is there's some of them where I'm like, so the only thing to do is to find the one thing that I can't figure out how to find. If I ever feel like I have to go to a cheat board or ask somebody who's already won the game how to figure it out, I'm like, this is fuck design, man. I would never, ever do this in a D&D game, any RPG ever. I would never have it so that the only possible way to get to the next thing is this one very specific right answer, because to me that's just bad shit design. It just stops everybody's fun, yours included, because quite frankly, I think part of being a good GM is looking at the stuff and you want the players. I'm a champion for you. I want you to get all the way to the end, man. That'll be great. It'll be challenging, but it'll be tough. That'll be cool, but we're going to get to the end. We're going to get to the end of this big motherfucker. We're going to fucking claw our way through a 300-page adventure. We got it. We're there. Even if you died at the end, you made it there, though, right? But I don't want to get stopped in chapter 2 because I couldn't figure out that the answer was a silver ball or rosebud or whatever the fuck it is, right? I think I beat that one enough. You good, John?
I'm good, man.
Yeah. It's probably a terrible topic and people tell me so, but we'll figure it out as we go. Let's move on.
Die roll. 2 to 4 miscellaneous gaming. Points of gaming and geekery we want to bring and share to you. This week we've got 3. First one, Here Be Taverns, a 2021 Annie-nominated website that provides you with all kinds of random tables and generators. It is a pay site, but you get for free a decent amount. But nonetheless, it's a good resource, which we have not come across in the past before. So check that out. The next one is the Deanna Jones Award. I didn't know who was nominated this year until they actually announced the award. So we'll put the nominations, because the site hasn't been updated yet because they're probably still at Gen Con or getting home from Gen Con. But it was Nibcard Games, which is a Nigerian board game manufacturer, publisher. So it's a tabletop games movement with the principal aim to initiate and bloom a sustainable tabletop industry in Nigeria. And
cool.
then, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then the last one are the Annie Award winners, which I went over on Saturday. If you joined me Saturday, I went through some of them. Freely.
I assume we're not on there, are we?
I let everybody know that we didn't get an Annie for podcasting. So
of course not. Which is fine.
I heard the world sigh at the news of that, but you know, what are you going to do? But Free League did pretty well. And then the one that followed Free League through a lot of the nominated categories and nominations, which was the Heart, the City Beneath, which is based out of UK, I think.
Free League didn't win the Logistics Championship Award, did they?
They did not, and they didn't have it. But it's funny you mentioned that, Brett. I mentioned on Saturday about Modifius having a stateside-based website. Like, I guess everything was, UK-based. And Modifius has been known to fulfill Free League shipments.
Yes.
But I didn't see Free League product on the United States version of Modifius' website, which I was kind of like, yeah.
Interesting.
Alice is Missing also won. Yes, Victor mentions. So a lot of these I'm fans of. I mean, I've ran 2 games of Alice is Missing. And the Publisher of the Year went to Free League. And then, of course, there's a sprinkle of other fine products from the Annie Awards. Cortex Prime, I think, got some interior art and stuff like that. So some people, there was a little bit of debate, like the merits of the Annie Awards, which has been debated and people have opinions on. But nonetheless, it's a list of games that were recognized by some people, voted by a group of popularity. But
no matter what you do for an award, somebody's gonna say it's a popularity contest, it's not real, blah blah blah. If nothing else, though, the cool thing is that this is how I find out about a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
Right. I look at Annie Award winning. That's kind of cool. Somebody thought enough about this to upvote them. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. That makes me. It does make me take another look. For a while there, I always thought, "What's the fucking point?" Blah 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 blah. But I gotta admit, man, when I look at my own buying habits, I say, people are upvoting this in an interesting, in like the way, if you will, to say good job, right? that through the Annie Awards. So there's some power in that. That's pretty cool. It's better. It's almost better. I think it is better than the 5-star rating type of thing.
Well, and
the
biggest like force on the list, if I'm not mistaken, is Free League Publishing.
Yeah.
Not Wizards.
Wizards of the Coast. Nope.
Not Paizo. They could have.
Could absolutely. Yep. Could have. But they don't. Yeah. Yeah. It bodes well that they're not just going to the gimme.
Right.
Yeah. It could go to the giant, quote unquote.
Assuming
Yes.
the judges would put them in for, would pass them on to the nomination. And then, of course,
Agreed.
being the 300 and 500 pound gorillas, the popularity contest could play a bigger piece. And I mean, that's the way it was in some years past.
Yeah.
When Paizo was going up against 4th edition, they swept Ennies almost year after year with almost a lot of their categories. Point being, I mean, Alice is Missing is like, yes, it's by hunters, but it's one guy, Spencer,
Yep.
So it's interesting that kind of dynamic in there. So anyways, check out some of the products in there. Diogo one. I know we've got fans of Diogo who did an old school essentials module, and he's got some products of his own. So I know there's some folks that appreciate what he's done in the past, and amongst other things in here that I didn't even know was out. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, I think that's it for this episode of the Gaming BS podcast. Thanks for everybody who's joined us live in the chat. We appreciate it. We record here every Monday night. Contemplating moving to YouTube live streaming.
Whoa.
I know. Brett, you won't even know.
No, I won't notice.
Brett, what do you think? Well, I don't know.
Sounds good.
Wouldn't even know if he's on YouTube.
Sounds good. I'm
So-
on YouTube now. Neat. Hi, YouTube.
We may move to YouTube next week. I just got to test it and make sure it works. And then, we'll
I've said it before, man. I mean, you were the brains behind the operation. I am just the bearded face that talks a lot.
Yeah.
And I 100% sincerely appreciate everything you do in
Thanks,
that space,
Brett.
man. I just want to say it out loud again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a team effort, regardless.
Totally, man. Absolutely.
Even if it's Team Brett saying, you know what? Go ahead. It's still better
for it,
than
man.
Brett saying,
Do it.
well, hold on a second. Let's talk about this for
Yeah.
a
What the
long
fuck
time.
you doing, dude?
Yeah, right. Fight me on and everything.
Let's for God's sakes. Yeah. No.
So,
Cool, man.
so we'll see if next week but the thing is, to get notified, which you can, you got to subscribe to our channel.
YouTube channel. Yes.
So you got to go to gamingnbs.com/YouTube. It'll get you to the right URL channel. And then when we go live, it'll let you know, and then we'll be off and running. There's a variety of reasons, but we won't get into that right now. So we'll see. And then, of course, you can check out our audio flagship show at your podcatcher of choice. We appreciate it. Subscribe. But other than that, hey, good to see everybody. Thanks for supporting us over all these years. And again, reminder, if you want to intro an episode, we'd love to hear from you, even if it's anonymous. Like, hey, I'm introing this show. Nobody needs to know my name. Episode number, whatever. Have a
Can
nice
absolutely
day.
do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't. That's fine. Anyways,
Get your kid to do it. If you don't want to do it, get your kid to do it.
get your
I don't care.
get your kids to do
I
it.
don't
That's
care.
fine. Then they can
That's
listen to Brett drop F-bombs during
No,
an episode.
don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't
They'll
be
be
like
fans.
Uncle Brett.
They'll
Don't do
want to
that.
hear their voice.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Uncle Brett said it's fucking okay. Oh God, let's talk about Uncle Brett. All right.
We'll let you
Cool,
get
man.
on with your week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game, though.
This episode of Gaming and BS produced with help from the following BSers: Joe Swick, Old School DM, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Eric Jefferson, Andy Hall, Chris Steele, Jason Hobbs, Mark Tasaka, Mirko Froelich, Pure Mongrel, Brett Pazinski, Brandon Barnes, Eileen Barnes, Dan LaValle, Victor Wyatt, Craig Huber, Roger Braslett, Stefan Dragonspawn, Jared Rasher, Ray Otis, Jim Fitzpatrick, Old Scouser, Role Playing, Christopher Lang, Curtis Takahashi, Larry Hout, Ron Bishop, Mark Richmond, Chad Glayman, Sky, Craig, Howard Bishop, Josh Wallace, Corey Welch, Angus, Eric Salzweedle, George Sedgwick, Robert Nemeth, Brian Kurtz, Laramie Wall, Perry Besor, Eric Avia, Andy Olson, Jeff Seifert, John Kayward, Corey Gonzalez, Maurice, Niall Diamond, Aaron Relia, Jeff Goad, Aaron Coleman, Brian Rumble, Rich Wishan, David F. Baylog, Harrigan, Melissa Bashinsky, Henry Newcomb, Cole Kago, Eric Tavola, Hoos Carl, Ghost GM, Mike Hess Jr., Rory Weston, Jim Ingram, Daniel Garrett, Eric Frankhouse Presents, Phil McClory, Adam Grotjohn, Jay Plata, Ed Nyes, The Duke in Purple, Isaiah Aries, Christian, Larry Hollis, Quigley Malcolm, AWOL Trooper, Craig Shipman, Todd Sharp, Orcus Dorcas, Chris Shore, Michael Holland, Wayne Peacock, Mike Coleman, Miniature Master, Kevin Keneally, Zagrave, Vornak, Farty McButterpants, Andrew Lear, Craig Chunglo, Eric Lunsford, Ty Prunty, Feelin' Good Lewis, Ziga Pradzik, Stacy Winters, Nick Westbrook, and John Mahoney. Hey, do us a favor. Let somebody know about the podcast. Put a tweet out there. Put it on Facebook. Put it in some group we're not a part of. I don't know. Put it up in a friendly local game store. Say, hey, listen to these frickin' jokers. Thanks, BSers. Oh shit, I almost forgot. And don't forget, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. Now I'll thank you. Thanks, BSers.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.